We both end up hitting that thing every time. Anyway, I'm Jody Simpson, and welcome to the Orville review show. And that's right, we're dealing with tonight's episode, which is season 1, episode 12, Mad Idolatry. Idolatry?
Idolatry.
Idolatry. I like yours better. And of course, the dynamic duo is back, Dave.
We're here. We're gonna play some latchgum. We're gonna pass the ball back and forth until it pierces our hand.
Oh, this way. All right, there we go.
Yeah. Over to you, Joe. Over this way for me.
All right. Neither one of us can do this. Anyway, this is as I said, this is the 12th episode of the series. And this is also our finale for season 1. So
yeah, I was a little surprised last week when I found out this was the finale of season 1. I didn't really remember this being the finale, but here we are.
Well, is it really a finale? Not really.
Well, when did season 2 start? Is kind of what I'm trying to later. It wasn't until a year later, eh?
Yeah,
like
a year later.
December. Yeah, it was almost and this came out in November.
Yes. November.
No, December. Yeah, like around December.
Oh, no, it was December 2017.
And the new season didn't start till the following December. So it was like a 12 months until we picked it up. I don't remember that, but that's what happened.
I don't remember it either, but it happened, I guess. But the pre-COVID, who remembers that stuff anyway? Like, come on.
Right, because season 2 is pre-COVID.
Yes.
And then season 3 is kind of a post-COVID or in the middle of COVID.
Post-COVID, middle. Yeah. All right. Well, either way, let's not down on that. Of course,
no.
As I said, we do have the dynamic duo is back for a short period.
We're here. Where are the other three? Who knows?
Of course, it is Dave Mader himself.
I'm here.
Man, the producer, the absolute legend.
I'm ready to be in this dimension for the next 11 minutes or whatever it is, and then I'll be gone for 700 years. But for the moment, you got me.
There you go. Fair enough. All right. Well, wait, we can't pass it all the time, and I can't remember the name of that thing, but the egg thing that had the blade. Latchcum. That's it.
You want to play Latchcum? Or would you like a drink?
Personally, I think out of the two of them, I think the drink was the worst one.
The drink with a parasite that gives you a great sensation or something. Like
you get some sort of euphoria from this parasite that doesn't come out of you apparently. So that means that these guys still have those parasites from the last time they drank it.
No, Ed told us it does come out eventually.
It comes out of him. Yeah.
Who knows?
So anyway,
watch out.
Well, shall we get into it, sir?
We should get into it. So I guess Kevin's probably gonna be joining us somewhere in the next little bit. Adam's traveling, and
He's currently in a different dimension, and Murphy is dealing with other things.
Murphy, on the DL.
He's on the DL. Yeah. All right. Well, good news is 2 of us are here, and that's more than enough, Dave.
I got things to say. Don't worry.
Got things to say? Oh, good. I got ears to listen. All right. So anyway, we get, of course, our establishing shot. We see Ed. This is an after hours kind of thing. He's letting his hair down, I guess, so to speak.
End of a long day.
Yeah, and he's going to various different officer quarters to see if anybody wants to go have a drink with him. So he stops by his bud's place. Turns out he's in jammy time, so he can't go.
He's all jammed up.
He's all jammed up, which personally I thought that was something else, but I thought it meant he was constipated. But turns out
I think he was using it sort of as a double entendre.
Maybe. So then we go to another door, and behind that door is the chief himself, and he's clearly very casual right now. But even more casual is the girl that's with him.
Ensign something or other, wearing just John's officer jacket.
He's clearly enjoying himself, and Mercer realizes that. She actually invites Mercer in for a drink, so I think she wanted to go like a 3-way here, but John wasn't having any part of that. So
she was pretty cash about the whole encounter here, considering he's the captain of the ship. I couldn't help but wonder if Lamar is naturally hairless. And then,
you know what? I never thought of that until just now, and I'm kind of upset that this has even been brought up. But anyway.
I'm here to upset you, Jody.
Well, you know what, Dave? You're doing good so far, so let's keep it going.
That was a little bit of sexy with the woman.
Yeah. Another door. Oh, turns out it's Portis's. And Bortus is like, he's like, I want to know if you want a drink. He's like, well, Kaylin and I are, about to sit down and enjoy ourselves with, what was the name of the drink? Do you remember?
The name of the drink was like Muckluck or something.
Yeah, we'll just call it Muckluck. That sounds about right, actually. But anyway, so they invite him in for
Upsata.
Okay,
Upsata.
Better too. All right, so either way,
it's like a big bowl of diarrhea.
It does look that way. Oh God, thanks, Dave. All right.
Problem.
You're always there to make sure that
I'm here to appetize you too, as well as upset
really.
you.
So anyway, Bortus explains that it is a parasite and it gives you a euphoric effect when you drink it, and it lives in your body.
I think you have to be Mocklin to really appreciate this.
I would imagine. Yeah. All I know is it doesn't look very appealing, and Mercer also has that thing. He has just a little tiny sip of it too.
As far as Mercer knows, this is going to kill him.
It could. It could. But right. But I also think Bortus probably knows by now that this is okay for humans to have. They probably shouldn't have it, but
you're putting a lot of faith in Bortus there.
I am putting a lot of faith in Bortus, but he's a very serious man. So
he is very serious. Yes.
I
will not fail you, Captain.
Yeah, exactly. He wouldn't do anything to hurt the captain. So, but anyway, so he's like, well, you guys got any board games or anything? And he's like, actually, we have this. Kaylin brings it in. What was this again?
Latchcomb.
There you go.
And it's Clyden. It's
Clyden. It's always, I always screw that one up. But anyway, so it's basically hot potato. It's literally what it is. You just throw it back and forth at each other. And Mercer eventually decides he's going to hold on to it for a little too long, and a big, huge blade comes out of it right through his hand. And then the two of them just go,
Latchcomb! And apparently Mercer won.
Yes. I guess the goal is to get stabbed. I don't know.
It
seems a little odd, but anyway, they're very happy with the fact that he got Latchcomb. I think actually they were excited because they didn't get the blade through their hand.
Yeah, they're like, actually, they probably just lied about him winning. Yeah, I think they actually won, and they just told him he won.
Yeah. So anyway, but it's like right through his hand. So anyway, he's like, life is not good. He's decided he's gone back to his quarters, and he's got the bandage on his hand now. So he's obviously went and saw it. Now, I have a question for you, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Later on in the episode, we see a dermic thing that heals wounds, especially a big gash. Yeah, neural regeneration.
Yeah, it comes up a few times in the episode. Yeah.
And the girl had a very deep cut, which we'll see later. But the girl had a very deep cut, and they fixed it with that. So could you not just use that thing on this?
I believe so. Yes.
So why didn't he just go and get it done? But he didn't want to do it because he said he was.
He didn't want there to be an official record.
Oh, that's right. Yes, he did.
But okay, he calls her, then they go have the drink. I'm kind of fast forwarding here, but by the time he gets to the bridge the next morning with the hangover, he doesn't have the bandage on his hand anymore. So
because she snuck the dermal thing, right? Because he wanted her to sneak him one, and she goes, yeah, okay, I'll do that.
Why did she have to sneak him one? Why did I don't get that?
Because so that way it wouldn't be on the record, I guess. So,
but anyway, she have one already? I don't know.
I think she went and stole it. But
okay,
or maybe they synthesized one. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
Okay, but
either way, it doesn't matter. So he decides to invite her for a drink at their version of 10 forward, which is
mess
like
hall.
10 back or something. I don't know.
It's mess hall, I believe.
It's at the back of the ship though, if you notice, because the stars are going that way.
Okay, yeah, it's at the back,
which I'm sure Hoshi would be very happy with. But anyway, so the two of them are talking, and they kind of get along the idea of what about like getting back together? We're both lonely, blah blah blah.
Yeah, they kind of bring up the whole Rob Lowe thing, and that she was probably under the influence of the hormone, and
and he basically said, I kind of accept that, and she's like, well, it's nice of you to say, but we'll never actually know.
Right. That their whole infidelity, the reason their marriage broke up, etc. But they're willing to give it another shot,
well, let's be honest. Rob Lowe probably has broken up a lot of marriages. Let's be honest.
In real life and in science fiction.
He's a good dude.
But I don't I also don't understand why they need to get drunk as much as they do here. But that seems to be what they bond over here.
Well, it's the same thing with because there's a scene later on where He's talking to not John, the other one.
Gordon.
He's talking to Gordon, and Gordon mentions like that he's drunk as well, or he's a little drunk. So it seems to be a pretty common thing that they all get drunk a lot.
They're just always everyone's drunk or on drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Hey,
but
Kevin.
Speaking of being drunk or on drugs, Kevin has joined us. I'm sure you're
maybe later.
Yeah, I'm sure you're neither one of those right now, but welcome.
Thank you.
I assume traffic and various other things. Life. All right.
Just life. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that happens. But either way, welcome and glad you're here.
He was in another dimension.
Oh, so we only have him for like 11 hours then.
I look amazing after 700 years, don't I?
You do.
Yes.
You do. You do. I'm a little jealous. I'm not going to lie. But we got some comments here. We got Sam saying, "Hey guys." Hey Sam.
Yep.
And we got Muggles Cake Sniffer, which by the way, I think wins for the best name in chat.
Muggles
right now.
Cake Sniffer.
Muggles Cake Sniffer.
My favorite episode showing how religion can start with one person at the right place at the right time with power. But the disturbing thing is I think that the people from that, I guess there's a part 2.
Yeah.
Planet evolved into being that wanted to see death since they didn't experience it anymore. Truly a strange twist. Okay.
Yeah,
I disagree. This is the natural progression of every single religion that has ever been.
Well, I think that's what Muggles' point it kind of is, though, is that all it takes is one guy in a belief, and all of a sudden,
you disagree with the part that like religion
it's a strange twist. No,
Yeah.
The part that it's a strange twist. No,
it's not a strange twist. I agree with Kevin on that one. That pretty much happens all the time. Just look it up. But anyway, thank you for your comment. I appreciate that. But yeah, it's so we're just to catch you up here, Kevin. We're at the point where they're out having a drink before their hangover sets in, I guess.
Okay.
Which is about to happen. Which actually we get that they're like, oh, that's a really bright sun, blah blah blah, and you can just see the two of them, and they're just having a bad time. I love Mercer's look on his face. I think he kind of sums it all up really.
How drunk did they get?
They always get drunk. Like they always get like hungover.
They were only drinking whiskey. Like to be this hungover is impressive.
Well, you saw the shot that she did. She did like a massive thing, and then he filled it again, and she went again. So. I'm pretty sure they drank a couple rounds.
They did this whole thing on Mythbusters where they showed you get way more hungover on like if you're drinking beer or champagne or like stuff like that. When you're drinking spirits, it's a lot harder to get hungover like this. Like a whiskey or something. It's not impossible, of course.
I've managed it many times.
If you're mixing it with like soda or whatever, I guess.
Nope, straight whiskey.
Yeah, like I'm not saying you're not going to feel anything, but you get worse. Like this kind of hangover, I know my hangovers, and this is a champagne hangover they're showing me here. Like this is like
I've only ever seen Kevin hungover badly once, and I had to stop.
Beer night.
Yeah, that was a beer night, and I had to stop at a gas station to get him Gatorade.
As a man who has had a lot of bad girls' night out is a bad hangover. There's lots of.
I think that's more or less a punishment as well, though.
Well, hey, fair enough, but
the natural progression of girls' night out.
Yeah. There you go. Now it's woman's night out for you,
I'm a woman now.
Woman's morning.
Yeah.
So anyway,
morning after.
He asks Isaac to close essentially dim the screen.
And
he's
stop the beans.
He's still looking rough. And then Isaac's like, "Yeah, no, we're good." And
they don't have like something in the future to cure a hangover.
Well, they must. They must have something, but I don't know. I've never had that problem, but other people have. But anyway, so they're like, okay, well, they just went through like a wake kind of thing, and then all of a sudden this planet showed up, and they're like, what the hell? So, no, sorry, they haven't gone through the wake yet. The wake happens while they're in the shuttle. So he sends Kelly and
Kelly just chugging water.
Just chugging water like nuts. So anyway, Gordon, Isaac, and Kelly start flying through, and all of a sudden they're flying through this kind of wake thing, and this planet just shows up. Which kind of reminded me of that Enterprise, the TNG episode, the one where it was like the planet was like cloaked.
Oh yeah, the one where they wanted the kids.
Yeah, and they wanted the kids. Yeah.
Or Meridian from Deep Space Nine.
Oh yes,
where she's gonna go and be on the planet and get married after knowing a guy for 12 minutes.
True. Yes. One of the worst episodes of Deep Space Nine. Period. But
one of the worst episodes of Star Trek. Period.
Yeah. No,
yeah. It's definitely in the top 10 for crap, for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they end up. I guess they lose control of the shuttle, and they end up having to crash. So they end up crash landing on this planet, and we get our
the planet of California.
The planet of California, absolutely. And you know, she's like, oh, California again. And so anyway, they end up going out, and they look through, and it's a very, very primitive civilization by the looks of it. You know, we're talking like
Bronze Age.
Bronze Age basically. And she's looking through and stuff like that, and Isaac's still on the ship, in the shuttle, and she does her little kind of pose thing. So she's walking through the forest, and all of a sudden these two kids come by, and the kids are like, "Whoa!"
Don't forget that Isaac warned her not to get too close to.
Oh, that's right, not to get
cause
too close.
Cultural contamination.
Yeah, and she kind of slid down the hill a little too. I guess I missed the thing because she did slide down the hill,
she takes quite the fall here.
And then this kid takes a fall in front of her. And she's got a pretty good gash. Now, number one, I don't know how old this kid is. I'm guessing probably 6, 7, somewhere around there.
I go like 9.
You think 9 maybe? Okay. Either way, they bounce off that rock. They aren't going to be conscious. Like, I don't know. Like, what? That's a pretty big rock for a little kid, you know? Like,
maybe these aliens are thick skulls.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, that's a good point. But
they're
anyway.
Human-looking aliens, but I don't know.
They are, well,
hard-headed, perhaps.
It's just like in Star Trek. Everybody has 2 arms and 2 legs generally.
5 fingers and look exactly like us. Yeah. And everything else.
Oh, Davin joins us. Orville, more like Bourville. See what I did there? Oh, yes, you're witty. All right. Anyway, no one cares. All right. Anyway. Move on, Davin. Move on. But of course, make sure you join Davin.
No, he gets no plugs
on
at the moment.
His next DS9 venture. But
welcome. Yeah, he's doing more shade in the comments. Snorville, he calls it.
Snorville now. Oh, geez, wow. I'm wondering if maybe his beautiful daughter is the one that's actually writing that. So, or at least giving him the idea, anyway.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, but anyway, this girl gets up, and Kelly's like, "Well, let me fix this cut," which seems like a really stupid idea. Like this kid is knocked out on the ground. Fucking take off. Like that's what you need to do now, because you're not supposed to be interacting at all, right? Yeah, I get she caused one kid, but what's if she just left right now when that kid was still like on the ground unconscious? That kid would wake up and she'd be like, "I don't remember what I saw," right?
Like. Okay, I'm kind of fast forwarding to the end here, but like part of like what we're kind of told by the end of this episode is that none of this really matters. That this was like this society was going to make some kind of crazy religion about something or somebody.
It was going to happen whether it was her or somebody else. Yeah.
Right. And so what she does here doesn't matter from that perspective.
Well, we don't know that yet.
You know, but on the other hand, it kind of does. You know, I don't know.
Which kind of throws some interesting ideas out, because in Star Trek we've learned that the prime directive is obviously the first one. We don't interfere, we don't,
and they have basically their version of that, you know.
Yeah, they have their own kind of version of that, but it kind of makes you think, well, yeah, I guess, well, in a lot of scenarios, like one person may not actually be able to change that. So in reality, you know, because in this scenario, you know, spoilers for the end, but it turns out that Kelly really didn't do anything.
Well, that's what they say, but
I think it's true.
It's kind of true.
This is going to happen no matter what. It was just
this show does religion better than Star Trek. 1,000%.
I do agree.
It even we go back to the Krill, right? Like they say, oh, most civilizations lose their religion by the time they're out in space, right? But the Krill aren't. Yeah. And the Krill, what do the Krill believe? they're superior to everyone else, which is always a hallmark of religion.
Mm-hmm.
And now they get to do horrific things because they're number one. You see
They're
it the same in the
enlightened.
Kalon going forward.
The Kalon's even bigger
Kalon is
problem.
the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then here they sit, but they do explain, and I agree, they would have found anything. Religion is a natural progression of, let's say, humanity. One that this show gives me the hope that we will move past that one day.
Not in our lifetime.
No, not a chance.
Probably not.
But we seem to be on that trajectory. Maybe.
Yes.
Who knows? Anyway, we'll see in 1,000 years or so how that goes. Well, we won't, but maybe
We
somebody
won't.
will. All right, assuming we're still around. Who knows?
But maybe they'll make a hologram of us like they did for Gordon's girlfriend. And
Maybe
based on our podcasts. And then those holograms of us will get to have the knowledge that the religion phased out.
You
and
just
we'll
want a hologram of
it
yourself,
won't
don't
be
you?
us. Huh?
You just want a hologram of yourself.
I
don't you?
do.
You'd be like, he'd be my best friend.
Yeah. If you're
Just
looking for
one hologram?
well, maybe many. I don't know, but
You think every ship in the fleet should have a Mater hologram, a Dave Mater hologram?
I think so. Yeah, as long as he's used ethically.
All right, let's explore this for a second. What would be the benefit of having a Mater on every ship?
I get to be basically immortal.
You would produce your podcasts on the ship.
I would just produce them all podcasts. Every ship would get a podcast. And it would be they'd be reviewing episodes probably. If in the future, in 1,000 years, if you're looking for my consent to create a hologram of me, I hereby give it here on this live podcast.
You heard it here first.
Especially if it's a sex hologram.
No, well, maybe. I don't know. Like
I give you future people consent to do a Dave sex hologram. That's what I do. I don't know if I can do that, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Consent is important here, I think.
I think consent has already been given. You gave the consent.
I gave a consent for a hologram that will produce podcasts and will be. I
guess they'll have to be sexy podcasts then.
It can be sexy podcasts.
All right.
What about a Ryza style planet populated by Dave holograms?
Do you see I gotta make the right pun here. Jamaharan with Dave.
God.
Jamadaran.
Right. We are definitely off the rails at this point. Oh boy. Anybody who wants to see a Dave sex hologram in the future, leave the comments there. All right.
Yeah, let us know if you want.
Let us know. It's honestly, that is the most important question we have tonight. But anyway, so all these other people come across Kelly as well, and she just fucking bails. Like she's like, okay,
she heals the girl's head, and then she goes, "Oh no, everyone saw," but
yeah, it's like, but at that point, the kid's already seen you, so it doesn't really matter. But anyway, and then we see this is kind of like the teaser, which is essentially the girl just yells out, "Kelly, Kelly," kind of like ET actually in a way. Which would make sense because the get up's kind of close to being in a bicycle basket. But anyway, so we end up seeing one of the admirals. I guess Garber wasn't available for this admiral.
Admiral Ozawa.
This is Admiral Ozawa. So there you go. She basically is like, the briefing. He's like, yeah, no, yeah, there's a planet here. There's people on it. They're in the Bronze Age. Blah 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 blah. And then he's like, he doesn't
tell the admiral what happened though.
No, he doesn't tell her anything because he's protecting Kelly, which is kind of a bad choice on his part. But I can understand it as well. So anyway, she's like, you really shouldn't have done that. So anyway, they end up seeing, and all of a sudden the planet just disappears again. And they did almost like that Ring thing from the Marvel universe. Just all of a sudden.
Yeah, almost, but way cooler.
A little bit cooler. Yeah. But anyway, so it's all of a sudden gone. And Isaac's like, yeah, it's gone.
It's a multi-phasic orbit, we're told.
Multi-phasic orbit, he says, which is essentially...
So there's a star in two universes where this planet is orbiting around, and it's similar. And so...
Yeah, but the time moves differently.
The time part is the part just the science of that I'm trying to still wrap my head around, but I guess I'm not as smart as Isaac, so I can't fully figured out, because if the sun is the same in both universes and the star is the planet's orbiting it, it should be going the same speed in both universes. Otherwise, when it would cross over, it would be quite the, wouldn't it accelerate or slow down too much, or you know what I mean? Like,
no idea.
Okay, we need.
Can we just go back to talking about Dave having a sex hologram?
Sex hologram. You know what?
This is getting a little too deep.
All right, I will table the question for a future panel.
See,
sure.
Davin, you don't know what you're missing. But anyway, what can you do? So Isaac basically tells them that, and then they decide
they have 11 days to wait. So
yeah, so Kelly and Mercer here have decided they're gonna have an actual date. They're gonna give this a shot and see how it goes, kind of thing.
They have some time to kill.
Yeah, and basically he makes something that's absolutely putrid, apparently, and he's like, yeah, okay, well, I have the standby, which is the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And she's like, what are we, like 5? But anyway, it turns out that he only did peanut butter on one side and jelly on the other sandwich. So just so he wouldn't screw that up, which leads me to believe, like, this is a guy who's gotten a ship out of a couple different issues. He's fought various aliens, but the guy can fuck up a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Maybe he shouldn't be in charge of this ship.
He fucked it up intentionally because he wanted her to have jelly only. He'd be peanut, and then they'd kiss, and then they would make some kind of PB&J.
But he does say it's
so gross.
It's really gross.
Yeah, it is kind of gross.
They were already married.
He must have got the peanut butter, as far as I can tell.
This okay. I hate this scene.
Yeah,
this entire date is cringe. This dialogue sucks.
It is kind of cringe, but I understand why it has to be in the episode because of the underlying tone of that. Kelly changed a whole bunch of things, so she's decided she's not going to change this aspect of her life because it might go badly, and Mercer might end up being a god or something. But that's kind of how I see it. I don't know if that's what you guys got.
I don't know if I follow you there, but
well, that's one of the reasons why she decided not to be with him. Spoilers at the end, but
well, that's fine. That she's like, you're too close to me. The fact that he tried to protect her with the admiral, that part I'm okay with. I'm talking about this scene and their lovey-dovey crap that they throw back.
Well, we have to have something to be able to say that she's giving something up.
That I get. You can have a good date scene that's better than this.
No, from the actual scene perspective, yeah, it's a garbage scene.
It's not so much that we had this scene; it's the content of it.
Fair enough. Okay. All right. So anyway, they're back, and all of a sudden the planet shows back up again, and this is I think 11 hours later. I think they said
days.
Oh, it's 11 days. Oh,
they have to wait almost 2 weeks every time this
thing goes. So they've been sitting there for almost 2 weeks waiting, sitting around, and all of a sudden the thing shows back up again. So they decide to send another expedition down. This time they're sending everybody down of importance for the most part. With the exception of Isaac, they've left Isaac on the ship now because,
Isaac and Bortus are kind of back on the ship.
Yeah, they're always back on the ship. Well, Bortus is always the one that ends up running the ship while these two are gone, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyway, so they end up getting down, and they've now noticed that there's now a civilization, more of a civilization.
It's more like the 14th century now.
Yeah, it's now medieval times essentially. And obviously we have this nice kind of kingdom here with a lot of villages, areas, stuff like that. Gordon has a look at it and he's like, yeah, no,
because they're like, oh, we have to replicate some clothes so we can.
Yeah, we have to replicate some clothes. He's like, we got that sorted. I saw something here.
Spotted some of my binoculars.
Yes, exactly. So they end up going down. Now the binoculars, as far as I'm concerned, is just a refit of X-Men's visor from
what's Cyclops' visor.
Cyclops' visor. Looks a lot like it. But anyway, so anyway, they all walk down to this little hut area with what appears to be a couple animals, and there's some clothes on the line, and this lady just comes out, and they're all just like, fuck, right? Like, what did they think was going to happen? They're going down to a little like hut. Somebody's going to be there. Like,
the chances of running into somebody are high. Yes.
Yeah, very high. Excuse me, gentlemen. All right. But anyway, so she comes out and she's like, she sees Kelly and she's instantly excited. And he's like, oh, hey, how you doing? And she brings out her kid and she's like, bless my kid, you know, blah, 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 blah. I don't think he's sick or anything. I think she just wanted him to be blessed.
Yeah.
So at least that's the opinion I got, impression I got. And she's like, yeah, okay. And she puts her, you know, hand on the baby's head, and she's like, you know, may you not get girls pregnant, and you know, stuff like that, which seems odd, but okay. And also, you know, stay in school and stuff like that, which probably doesn't make any sense to people in medieval times. But anyway, that's fine. Well, I guess maybe they had school then. I don't know. Something like it anyway. So anyway, they start their walk, which gave me reminiscence of that movie. Geez, what was it called? I don't remember now, but it'll come back to me eventually. But anyway, so they end up coming across these guys who have been essentially strung up by their arms, and we find out later that they actually cut them open too.
So they bled to death.
So they bleed. Yeah, they bleed out basically. But if they're true, they won't bleed out because Kelly will save them. Right. Which Kelly being the god Kelly. But anyway,
they were heretics.
Yes. So anyway, all these guys are hung and dead now at this point. And Kelly at this point is already really disturbed. Like she's like, this has got to be a lot when you think about it. Like, you know, people are getting killed in your name. Like this is not good. Right.
They all acknowledge it's bad from the get.
It's not a good time. No, exactly. But everybody else is more kind of dumbfounded by where they are. Whereas you can see Kelly even in this shot.
Ed's pretty quiet, they say, and then he's like, oh, yeah, this is really bad.
This is not good. But anyway, he ends up seeing somebody in the distance. He waves him down. And who is this? Anyone?
A guy with a British accent.
Isn't this the old chief?
I don't think so. Is it?
Like to me, it looks like him, but it could be.
It looks like his brother, maybe.
Maybe his brother or somebody. Yeah. Either way, I'm not totally sure if that was on purpose or not, but it was still kind of neat. But anyway,
man on the wagon is Graham Wood.
Okay, and Graham Wood is not the guy who played
chief engineer. No,
the original chief. Okay, well, just looks a little bit like him. I just thought it was him, but. No. Now looking at the screenshot, no, it's not him.
He's been in The Patriot as a redcoat lieutenant, and in Saving Private Ryan as a soldier on the beach. So
he's got quite a career.
This might be the first time he ever spoke on camera.
Oh, maybe, yeah. But anyway, so they get some information from him, like, why are these people here? Blah blah blah. And he's like, oh, they did things, blah blah blah. And then she's like, I guess they asked for directions for the castle or something, right?
Lamar says there's a structure.
Oh, that's right. He goes, there's a structure so and so away. So I guess they start walking towards that. They end up coming through. Now I have to give them credit. The set's pretty good. I'm pretty sure this is probably from some other production that they just happen to scoff and steal, but it looks good, I think. So then they come across this woman who's telling off her kid, basically saying, "Don't run away from me again," or the wrath
Kelly will get you.
The wrath of Kelly, will come get you. And this is obviously disturbing the hell out of her hearing this stuff. And then we all of a sudden see three guys get brought up to, I guess, their version of the gallows, I guess. And they basically string them up, and this guy, which I guess is, I don't know what he is.
He's some kind of priest or something.
He's like a priest or a martial enforcer or something. I don't know. But anyway, so they start cutting down the arms of these guys, and they basically say, if they don't bleed out, then they're fine. It's kind of like, throwing witches in the water, same idea. Obviously not very good merit there. But anyway, they cut these guys and just kind of let them, and Kelly's like ready to jump in and like pretend to be the god just to stop this. And Mercer basically stops her and says, no, you can't do that. You do that, it's going to fuck things up even more.
Yeah, he's like, are you going to start making proclamations?
Yeah, like are you going to start writing proverbs? Like, what are we doing here? But anyway, so they all see that. I like that they didn't bother to hide Alara's nose thing. They just made it look like it was like dirt or something.
Yeah. I like, the other thing that kind of stood out to me here is that this is supposed to be like a medieval century, and John's the only black guy in the entire place, and maybe that's not a big deal to them. But on Earth,
actually, that's a good point.
I think he would have stood out in this time period.
Yeah, because even in the crowd here, there's no.
It's all white people. So and Alara, I guess.
Well, Lara's really white. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, you're right. But anyway, they end up into the temple, the church, the city hall, whatever the hell you want to call it. And in the halls is a statue of Kelly.
This is an incredible statue, I guess.
It's not bad. The thing that I thought was interesting about the statue is they even have the Union logo correct. Like
everything, like it's such a great statue of somebody like 6 people saw 700 years ago.
Yeah, and
and
that ain't a 700-year-old statue. So people are just going based on the drawings of somebody or the illustrations and stuff. But yeah, no, it's weird. So anyway, they go back up to the ship and they talk to Admiral whatever her name was. Agawa. See, Dave, what would I do without you?
Or Azawa. Sorry, it's Azawa.
Is it? Oh well, I take that back then.
Yeah.
All right, but anyway,
off without me.
I might be better off without you. Come to think of it, no, I'm just kidding. But anyway, so they end up coming. They fess up and say, "Yeah, by the way, we did mess with this, and now it's like a medieval type thing." And they've I think they said 7 centuries have gone by, 700 years or something like that.
Yeah, every time the planet goes, it's 700 years.
Yeah, it's 700 years when it comes back. Yeah. So anyway, they kind of go through this. She kind of gives them shit. So anyway, Kelly ends up. Can
we just go back to the part where they're on with the Admiral, and then he tries to like hang up on the Admiral, and he's like,
"Oh."
And she's like putting a discommendation. Like, I'm going to have you scrubbing toilets. And she's like, "What was that?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Please don't burn me."
Yeah, and he says something like, "Please spare my life," or something like that. He says, and then anyway, so we end up seeing. I'm not totally sure how I managed to get from here to here. I must be missing something.
Apparently, Kelly just went and cried in her quarters for 11 days after this.
I guess so.
Or no, because they do try before the planet disappears again, right? Something.
Yes,
this is all before the planet will disappear again for another 7 years.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, because they go down again, but then they're on the time. They're on like a timetable. So they had 31 minutes. There you go. So anyway, they walk into this like the priest's chamber kind of thing, and there's another picture of Kelly. I have to admit, like they do a good job of remembering this girl from 700 years ago. Like wow. But anyway, they walk in on, I guess this is like the Supreme Chancellor or their version,
it's like
of the Pope,
like their version of the Pope, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, and they bring this kid in, and the kid, I guess, was stealing fruit from a church tree. And he's like, "Well, what do we do with this?" And the kid's pleading, like, my family's hungry, like we're just trying to eat, like that's all it is. And the guy's like, "Yeah, no problem. Go hang him up at the gallows, and if he doesn't bleed out, he's good." So that seems to be their thing. So this is when Kelly decides she's going to step in. And he kind of has this dumbfounded look on his face when she shows up. I do like how they did the shining of the light on her in this scene. I thought that was
I didn't pick up on that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's really well done. Yeah, it's really well done. I actually went back and got this screenshot because I'm like, that was really good. Good job. Yeah. So anyway, and he's like, "Oh, Kelly, blah, blah, blah." And she's like, "Yeah, no, I'm just a person. Like, stop being a dink, blah, 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 and all this." And, he's not really believing it. He's like, "Oh, no." She's like, "It was just a dermal thing. Like, it's a tool, like a hammer or something. Watch." And she cuts her hand, and then she hands it to him, and he cuts his hand. And then he fixes it. And for a second there, I thought he was going to say, like, "Oh, I'm a god now," but he's like, "Oh, no, well, gods don't bleed." So, obviously she's not the god that they thought.
She convinces this guy, but of course there's an evil cardinal in the wings.
There is always an evil cardinal. That is the thing you should always learn.
Love that scene. I love that scene because Star Trek wouldn't do it. Would never fucking do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
We have with the dermal with the regenerator part.
No. This.
Oh, this.
When
this
he
part
stabs
where the guy comes up.
Yeah.
When he says, "But people are afraid of Kelly."
Yeah.
So we need.
How
Kelly.
can we retain our power?
How can we retain our power without Kelly?
Right.
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, we'll just have to let people decide."
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's exactly. I love
This
that.
guy's like,
And
"Have
the Pope guy's on for it. He's just like, we're gonna have to let them decide. And blah
yeah,
blah
he's
blah.
been
Like,
even though
he's very logical about it.
He did sentence that kid to death a couple minutes ago, but he's completely turned around. So
Very quickly, yes. But anyway, so the guy comes up behind him, and he's about to. I guess he's about to write in
the book.
the book, and the evil guy comes up behind him and just gives him a good old stab. I do like the cross-eyed look that he did.
Star Trek would never spell it out like that.
Yeah,
like this might happen, but the guy would never say, "How will we retain our power?"
And unfortunately, this was a very dark scene, but that is indeed a knife in his back.
I guess the big difference in Star Trek is it's very hesitant to be openly critical of religion.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it's trying to
embrace everybody, which makes sense.
Yes, and it's a mainstream show made at a a very time as well, right?
And the Americans are very religious,
very religious, yes.
Which is fine. But anyway, so all of a sudden at this point, I think this is when it disappears again.
Yeah, this is the second time it disappears.
This is the second time it disappears.
Third, I guess, technically,
Or no, actually, this is when it shows back up.
Because they wait 11 days and then it comes back. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it comes back 11 days, and now like they have like stadiums of
this would be roughly the 20th century for them now.
Yeah, and they're still talking about Kelly, so they obviously weren't successful in their mission.
Didn't work. There's wars, people killing each other
and stuff. Very very modern. And she's like, yeah, this didn't work, and Isaac's like, well. She decides she's going to sacrifice herself. She's going to stay on the planet and die to, help these.
She's going to make it her life's mission to turn this around because she hates this idea of people killing
undo
her.
Undoing what she did basically. She's blaming this entire thing on herself, which I guess in a way it is, but as we learn later on, it was going to happen anyway. It was just a matter of who it was going to be with. That's all.
But they still have it kind of on their conscience, I guess.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So Isaac's like, well, 7 centuries, that's nothing to me. Why don't I just stay there and I'll explain it to them. And so they decide, yeah, okay, let's put Isaac there. And they're like, yeah, okay, I guess let's do it. So anyway, they take Isaac down to the planet. They leave him there. And at this point, they've already got skyscrapers and stuff. So they're basically at our, they're with our level right now. And then they come back, and then the planet disappears. And then as you see Kelly, and she's still contemplating, and she's hoping that this isn't going to happen, and she's waiting for the event to happen again. Mercer comes over on the speaker and says, yeah, they're about to reappear. I just thought we'd let you know. She comes back to the thing. They do reappear. Bortus is like, yep, they're here. And then it turns into this. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I guess I got so much Star Trek in my brain. The minute I saw this, I'm like, oh my God, the Borg have taken over this. The Borg are part of this now. But no, it just turns out this is their advanced civilization. We can see, various beams coming out of the planet as well. I guess there's some sort of transporter system or something, or they're breaking up asteroids or something. But anyway, so they you see all these beams of light and stuff like that. Pretty cool. And then all of a sudden this super advanced, kind of silver T-1000 type ship shows up.
The ship that comes up, it really reminds me of the Flight of the Navigator.
Yes. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, it's totally Flight of the Navigator.
I don't leak, you leak.
Yeah, I don't leak, you leak. But anyway, so they end up seeing, and then I guess they send a communication
transport over, basically.
They want to transport over. He says, yeah, okay, I guess. And they show up, and this lady shows up along with a man. And they're just out in the same, I'm pretty sure it's the same garb that they used in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, but it could be wrong. But I'm just kidding. But advanced civilizations always have weird clothing eventually.
They're very bright.
Yes. Very Tronish. But anyway, so Isaac explains to them that, he has, explained to them they've progressed past this. And they end up having kind of a round table with these guys. Now, the guy on the left, I don't know how I feel about him.
He's got dark eyes.
He looks like a character that is going to take over a civilization.
He looks like a supervillain to you?
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe he is. Who
But
knows?
anyway.
We just met him.
Also, if you notice, Dave, black people now.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not saying the planet didn't have black people. I'm just saying, like,
right, but they weren't a part of that part of society.
They weren't
Right.
they weren't in that geographical location at that time.
Right. Like to assume that, because we're led to believe that the planet is very similar to Earth in many ways, right? And just so, yeah, like it would. I was like, with just the amount of travel you would have had, right?
True.
And that you would assume that people would be spread out on different continents, just like on Earth, and based on
and so basically the ending of this episode is these two basically say to Kelly, don't feel so bad. This would have happened anyway. Blah blah blah. But now we're past that, and now we're exploring the the universe. Well, our universe. Not their universe, but
because they only kind of dip their toe every so often from their perspective back in our dimension.
Well, it's only every 7 centuries, dude. But they get access to this for a couple minutes, right?
But like after like a few more weeks, this is going to be insane. Like because this species is going to keep evolving so fast, right?
Yep.
Like technically, they should only be like maybe a couple centuries ahead of the Orville. Maybe that's what they're trying to depict here. But they seem even more advanced than that, potentially.
Well, the Orville happens in what 24.
25th century.
25th century. So
and they're roughly in the
these guys are 27th, 28th,
28th maybe. So they're not, but they try to like kind of push this, and they're like, maybe next time we pop around, we'll study you, and they're like, oh, we'd be so honored. Study us.
So basically, we end up after this scene. I guess they leave again, and then we see Mercer in the mess hall again, and he's having a drink by himself because he literally does that all the time. And Kelly comes up to him and basically says, with all this that's happened, like, I've been thinking, and no, we shouldn't get back together.
I hate
you hate this. Why do you hate this?
It's because it doesn't make any goddamn sense. They do it in every Star Trek, every show. They're like, we can't date because if I need to send you on a mission, well, okay, you're not dating. You still have those feelings, you dumb fucks. Like, what? Like,
they may be stronger.
Be hard. It makes no difference.
I think they didn't hit the point that they were trying to hit here, which is Kelly doesn't want to affect other people's lives as much as she wants to be lonely but have companionship, but she doesn't want to go back to the old ways because the old ways didn't work or whatever. So
her whole thing is, I don't want to put your command at risk because all of this stuff, because you protected me and you but he's still going to do those things for her whether they're dating or not.
It's true.
That's what I mean. It doesn't matter.
Agreed. And like I feel like this is just like, we're gonna get back together, but for now not so much. But we're kind of planting the seeds that, because you feel like, even like I don't want to skip ahead too much to the third season, but it feels like their relationship is back on, at various times or in different degrees.
Well, they're very close. I wouldn't say that they're completely together, but
it's just that this is a trope in every show, and
it is
every show where there's a command structure, and it drives me crazy because it doesn't make any sense.
And if they really want to be together, they could be on different ships, right? Like
absolutely.
But then they can't be on the same show anymore. So this is the only way to do it.
Only the Orville. There's no other ships, Dave. But anyway, they
3,000 other ships.
Well, and I do like Mercer's reaction here, where he basically says, "Yeah, I've been thinking about it. Yeah, you know what? I get you. I know deep down we shouldn't be doing that. So I guess that makes sense. So I guess I don't really think they hit the point that they wanted to hit here. I think they ended up hitting the trope, which, as Kevin has pointed out, the trope that is always kind of there.
Well, the trope is the point. That
is the
flat
point,
out the point. Yeah. It is. They are not going to be in a relationship for the sole reason that it will put his command at risk. He will make decisions that will put his command at risk to protect her. He will still do that, even
he's
if
going to do it
dating.
anyway. Yeah.
Right.
And he does it later on in the series anyway, so it's true. But anyway, he I guess accepts that. The two of them cordially go off. I do like the last scene where you see her walking away from him. that scene there. I liked how that was framed. I'm a framing buff. I like that. But yeah. Anyway, so we get that and credits roll, and that's the end of it. So
just a man in his drink, and
man in
no
his
woman.
drink, because sometimes that's just how life goes, my friends. But anyway, so that is the episode. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. But you know what? There's more important things. There's more important things in life, and one of those things is
details discovered by Dave.
Oh, there it is. There we go. I saw the sad facts one. I'm like, well, we don't have too many sad facts, do we?
All right.
But anyway, Dave's taking over tonight.
And with that, I will tell you, Jody, that originally there were supposed to be 13 episodes in season 1, but the 12th episode, Primal Urges, was moved to season 2, making this episode the 12th and not the 13th.
Oh.
This originally intended season 1 to be the season 1 finale, was to be Identity Part 1 and Part 2, but they moved to season 2 as well to allow for more room for character development. Lieutenant Malloy holds a pair of binoculars that are in fact a repainted toy periscope from the game Sub-Assault.
Oh.
So not Cyclops' visor.
I'm a little disappointed, quite honestly.
Actor Scott Grimes, who plays Gordon Malloy, has praised this episode as the best hour of television he has ever been a part of. I don't know. Is it that good, guys?
The dude was on Band of Brothers. What are you talking about?
This is better. This is better for him.
No, it's not. Anyway.
I don't know if this is the best episode of the Orville, but
it's a decent episode. But
okay.
I wouldn't say it's the best episode.
That's not my favorite.
No, there's much better episodes coming up.
Adrian Palicki, Kelly Grayson, agrees with Kelly's decision to break things off with Ed. Well, don't tell Kevin. She says, Kevin, she's right. You wouldn't be able to make decisions if you had to send her down for a fatal mission. You wouldn't be able to do it.
He's still not able to do it.
He still won't be able to do it, yeah.
Yeah, he wouldn't be able to do it anyway. The opening credits are amended in recognition of John Lamar's promotion from lieutenant to lieutenant commander, as seen in the previous episode.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah.
In discussing Kelly's actions in this episode, Ed states that he wouldn't want to have to visit Kelly in prison, and Kelly quips, "You wouldn't want to visit a women's prison?" The novella Sympathy for the Devil establishes that the Planetary Union no longer has prisons, them having been determined not to be an effective corrective measure, and that only rehabilitation facilities exist. It is, however, possible that the term was being used jokingly or euphemistically.
Well, we've always heard that trope in even Star Trek where they don't really technically have prisons, but yeah, there's brigs on every ship, and it's like, yeah, come on.
Yeah, Tom Paris was in prison. Remember, he was gardening.
No prisons, just penal colonies.
Penal colonies,
yes. just gardening, really.
Yeah. Or working in mines, but that's the Klingons that do that one. Yeah.
This episode takes place in April and May of 2420 over a period of 34 days. For every 11 days that pass on the Orville, 700 years pass on the planet. That means that 2,100 years pass on the planet and 33 days pass on the Orville during their encounter. Note that this episode begins a day before they encounter each other. On the first day, Ed plays Latchcum with Bortus and Clyden, then grabs a drink with Kelly, where they agree to go on a date later that week. The next day, Kelly, Gordon, and Isaac crash on the planet. When Kelly enters the church in the next time jump to confront Volandis, 31 minutes remain until the planet phases out. They conclude their meeting with 9 minutes remaining. Isaac spends 700 years on the planet, and Borden Clyden's Opsada is aged 9 years, or since 2411. Did you like the Opsada drink there, Kevin? We missed you for that part of the discussion.
I liked the game. And I like when Ed goes, apparently I won.
Yeah. Jody and I don't think he really won.
We think actually Clyden and Bortus won, but
yeah, they just told me one.
Okay.
So the rise of the Kelly religion mimics the origins of Roman Catholicism and less overtly organized religion as a whole. The religious conflicts and arguments with secularization mirrors Earth's growing secularism and religious extremism of the 20th and 21st centuries. Those accused of crimes are fatally cut to the presumption that they are innocent. Kelly will heal them. From the Middle Ages through the 17th century, they were accused sometimes of being trial by ordeal, where they were typically a fatal scenario when was imposed on the accused. For example, women and men accused of witchcraft were thrown into water. If they floated, they were guilty. In the Planetary Union's
they're innocent, they're dead. so it doesn't really
Exactly.
matter.
It doesn't matter. They'll go right to
Problem
heaven.
solved.
The Planetary Union's prohibition against cultural contamination of an undeveloped civilization constitutes an equivalent of the Prime Directive. Ed suggests playing the board game Monopoly in lieu of Latchgum, which the crew waits for the planet to reappear. Healing someone from a less developed culture, leading to a healer becoming deified, occurred in the Star Trek: The Next Generation episode "Who Watches the Watchers." That's not so interesting. The concept of time dilation on the planet is common in science fiction, but this episode most closely parallels Blink of an Eye from the Star Trek Voyager episode. The Star Trek you remember that one with Daniel Day Kim? The Starship Voyager witnesses a whole of a planet's history while the people on the surface grow increasingly devoted to the foreign ship. This episode totally makes me think of that. McFarlane may allude to Blink of an Eye here in the Voyager episode. The character of Kelemeni says, "I'm willing to offer a recompense." Offer a recompense?
Recompense.
Recompense. What is that word? Recompense. I don't know that.
I need to hear it in the sentence to know what it means. I don't know what it means on its own.
I don't know what it means. You have to look it up.
Compensation.
It means it says to make amends to someone for a loss or harm suffered, or to compensate. Yeah, it's basically to make compensate. It's almost compensate, or to make up for something.
Make up for it. Yeah.
And that's. I think we'll leave it there, guys. I don't know how much more to go.
I think that was more than enough.
I got one more. The stained glass depiction of Grayson, based on the promotional image, features her with her hairstyle as she sported it in the earlier episodes of the season rather than the current one.
Oh, yeah.
Ruined.
Yeah, because she has straight hair in this episode.
Yeah, so her hair is wrong.
Well, it was an artistic impression, so.
That's true.
Maybe they just took their own on that.
That's something Heather Narduzzi would have noticed.
You know what? I think she would have. I really think she would have, yeah. But anyway, she can't stand Seth MacFarlane, so she's not on this show.
So she doesn't,
which is unfortunate because I do enjoy Heather.
If people want to close themselves off, Jody, what can we do?
Know what? If they're not open-minded, it's fine, Dave. Sometimes we have to be open-minded, but
yeah.
You know what? Speaking of which, why don't we get into ratings?
Let's do her.
All right. So I'm gonna go last. Adam's not here, so we're just gonna say that he gave it whatever. Dave, what are your thoughts on this?
It's fine. It's not the best hour of television I think Scott Grimes has been a part of. No, it isn't. Or any of these people, really. It's not my favorite Orville episode. I think it's a bit of it's an okay finale for the first season, but on the other hand, you expect.
I don't really think it's really a finale, in my opinion. It's just.
But it is. It's a season
finale. It is to them, yeah. But there's not really any final to it. Like there's nothing.
There's no like cliffhanger. There's no amazing spectacle of an episode. It's kind of just like an average TNG episode is what it feels like. So I'm going to give it a 7. It's good. Okay. But I don't. It didn't blow me away.
Kevin, what are you feeling?
I've never seen a better depiction of religion in my life. This is my favorite episode thus far. This is a 10.
Really? A 10? Wow. And you gave About a Girl a 10.
I did.
Wow. All right.
Sam is saying 7.6.
7.6. You know what? I'm pretty close to Sam on this one. I'm not going to be as hard as Dave was, but I'm definitely not going to be Kevin either. I'm going to do a 7.5. I think that's fair.
You're in the wrong cell.
I am definitely in the wrong cell. Well, this is what happens when it's shrunk and you don't see it on your screen correctly. All right, but anyway, there we go. Which of course gives us a combined average of, if I ever actually bring this down, there we go, 8.2. Yeah, 8.2, which IMDb has this at 8.4. This is actually, according to IMDb, the most favorite episode of this season. Which out of 12 episodes.
Can we unpack that? I feel like I need to understand more here because I'm no big fan of religion either. Mm-hmm. And I grew up more religious than either of you, I think. And I don't know if this is the best depiction of religion that I've seen on screen. But I understand the points that it's doing it in a different way than Star Trek has done it, which is probably. I don't
necessarily know if it's trying to depict the religion itself, but I think what it's trying to do is show you what religion does. It's like the model of religion, a lot of religions follow this exact model essentially. There's one being, all of a sudden that being is the god, and everybody has to praise it or fear it, right?
I guess the part that's missing for me is that, yes, it's all these awful things, but for a lot of people, it's like, if you want to look at the other side of the coin, it's like comfort, and it's community, and it's order and purpose in life, and all these. There are
you said it, order.
Yeah.
That's not, no. See,
Control.
The way I see it is that religion is the means of control. Your belief in God and an afterlife, that I have no problem with that. I find that I could see how people could find that comforting, right?
Absolutely.
An afterlife and a God and something that created everything. But the second you put rules around it, the second that afterlife has judgment, you've just created a system of control. And that's it.
Right.
That's all it is. It doesn't bring comfort. It just brings shame about everything.
I'm not defending it so much, but I just don't think that it.
Well, I think the other issue that we have here is I think they were trying to portray the negative effects of it versus the positive, which we do see in Star Trek. We see positive effects of.
I think Star Trek's too far the other way with it, right? I don't think it's I think there's a balanced argument here that is sort of missing in this episode. So I guess that's why I'm not. So,
I don't think it's missing. I think it was intentionally done this way to make us see only the negative aspects of it, whereas because
I guess this idea that I kind of like the idea, like in 700 years we're not going to have religion and we're not going to be killing each other over religion, but I'm skeptical that that's going to happen that fast, because the people who are into it today are our contemporaries. They are
if you look at if you even look at just through our generations, like we're in between the 30 to 50 range, let's say, to be nice. I think most of us are in the 40 to 50 to be range. But
I think we're all in our 40s, aren't we?
Are we now? Okay, I thought you were actually the only one that wasn't, Dave, but I could be wrong.
No, I'm in now.
You're in now. Okay.
I'm in the club. I'm over the hill.
I was probably there even, but what do I know? But anyway, even if we look at just our limited time, we've seen a lot of things that have changed. I remember religion 30 years ago being a lot more evident in a lot of people that I know, and now that it isn't. So it's,
and I remember things like Judas Priest going on trial for having fucking subliminal messages from the devil on their records.
Like how absolutely absurd is that?
Real courtroom, a real fucking courtroom.
Like that really happened. It's crazy shit. So, and I think that's the progression that we're trying to see here, right? Like we see a little tiny window of that, but it'd be nice to, I'm hopeful that eventually people won't be killing in the name of some god or deity or something like that, and everybody gets along. But I don't think that's going to happen soon. Maybe in 900 years.
Maybe, I don't know. Like, I just a lot has changed even the last couple centuries here, right? So maybe the exponential progression of that will lead to something like we see in this episode,
or at the very least, like maybe a religion that doesn't put the believer above everyone else.
Right. And I don't know if every religion on earth does that.
I don't think every religion does, but I think a good majority of them.
It's a hallmark in most of the major religions.
Even amongst the Christian religions, I think Catholicism, which is the one I grew up in, is probably the most authoritarian, compared to like some of the, the whole Protestant Reformation was about, a lot of that was about like, you don't have to go to church, or you don't have to give money to the Pope to, to be religious or have faith or whatever. So I don't know, there's still like, and even the Jewish religion is kind of different in the sense that it's not so much what you believe, it's more about what you do. And I don't know, like, so there's even amongst religions, there's variety, right? But they're all kind of, but I'm not a fan necessarily of all of them. But I know a lot of them love it. A lot of people love it. And I think
that gets us back to the point of this episode. The point of this episode got you talking about it. So if it gets you talking about it, it did its job.
It's a good discussion, thought exercise and a whole bunch of ways.
It's a discussion we'll never finish in the time that we've allotted.
Oh, for sure.
Or ever, for that matter.
Right. Well, just in the same way they're saying, like, if it hadn't been you, Kelly, it would have been something else. And I think if it wasn't religion, it would be like, well, our team is better than their team. And tribalism is not always just about gods. And
nope.
Oh no,
you're right.
But it can be amplified by those things.
But you get like nationalism too, and like it's all
Yeah.
You get people fighting over sports teams.
There's a lot of nationalism right now too. Yeah. So
right, true. So people find reasons to fight each other and hate each other.
And as a matter of fact, I think you see around the world not as many wars are breaking out for religious reasons like they used to. Now it's more territory and
who, like my ethnicity or whatever, right? But
but it's not really. You don't see a lot in the name of God. Like they'll mention God, but it's not like a religious crusade,
Right. Yeah. Not like the Crusades,
Right.
Exactly. All right. Well, you know what? Good discussion as always with you guys. I always appreciate that. And you know what, Dave? We got a lot of things going on in this channel, one of which you're part of tomorrow, I believe.
We sure do, Jody. Star Trek The Next Generation every Tuesday night here on Live Long on Podcast, doing a new episode each time, reviewing it. Tomorrow's episode, Angel One, with it's a matriarchal society in Riker.
And Riker's nipples.
You got to see Riker's nipples.
Oh, the nipple episode. Amazing.
The nipple episode. Yeah. And those tights and everything else is going to be coming at you. I got Heather Narduzzi, Jane Mader, and Jaemeel Robinson coming at us. With
that's
this panel
a powerhouse. All right.
We'll see how it goes. Davin has expressed dislike of the episode, as of you, Jody. But you have bonded over this.
I don't like the episode, but I can still find something in it that I like. But
it's been a long time since I've watched it. I have not. So
to be quite honest, it's a skip episode for me when it comes to rewatches. Like I usually go through the Next Gen rewatch once a year, and it's definitely a skip episode. It's up with Code of Honor and definitely Sub Rosa.
We got a long time.
Sub Rosa is the greatest episode of all time.
One of the best ever.
It's not.
It's getting in an 11 when we get there. I can tell you that much. So
I might just be on that episode just to make sure that the rest of you smarten up. But anyway. But
I'm gonna give it a 15 then.
Yeah. Off the charts we're going.
He's going to 11. All right. But anyway, as I said, thank you very much for joining us, guys, and of course everybody in our chat and whatnot. And you know what, if you want to be smarter, you got to watch everything else that's on this Federation.
The Federation. Right now we're doing Big Brother 26. Really good season happening. Check that out on the Super Mater Brothers podcast. Every Thursday. They are brothers, or we are brothers, as they say.
Do both brothers actually show up right now, or?
Jeff's been more consistent. Jaemeel has been working nights, and Foster apparently preseason Patriots football is apparently the most important thing to him.
Oh,
so
okay. He is a big football guy. Yeah.
I already told him it didn't matter. The Patriots aren't winning this year. Like, it's come on. So
see, you're talking foreign to me. I don't follow football.
You're just like, your team sucks. Don't even watch.
Yeah, like, you had your dynasty. It's over. Like,
I say the same thing to Leafs fans though, so it makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, you're not winning more. It's over. Like, no, they're not going to let you have any more. Especially not without Tom Brady. Like, forget it.
But the main thing here, Dave, is there's only a couple things that are cooler than a Dave Mater sex hologram, and that is the other shows on this channel.
Yeah, Eamon Mater, Eamon on Track. I was just reviewing Bruce Springsteen live in New York City from 2001. It was a good album. So check out that podcast. Just dropped yesterday.
Oh yeah. Didn't even notice. I'm gonna have to go back now.
And then,
who was his guest? Were you his guest?
I was the guest, yeah.
Oh, nice. All right. Yeah. There you go. I got to go on that show again. I was already on his guest.
So,
yeah. Well, there you go. I guess
call him up and tell him what time it's going to be at, because then
then it might happen.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen.
When
I
was on it, he was. I was like, "When do you want to do this?" He's like, "How about now?"
He definitely didn't get that side of you, Dave.
No, yeah, he's not. He doesn't quite have the book.
He's not a pre-planner like you are.
He's not quite the booker. I think he's got more of Jeff's genes with that.
Hey, it worked. I was ready. So
there you go. There you go. Problem solved. It got done. Anyway, thank you everybody, and have a great night. And make sure you look at all the stuff that's going to come up on our promo here. So anyway, have a good night. Live long in podcasts.
See you next time.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.